Go ahead, take us in, Grant.
I'm not recording yet.
We are. Yeah. Are we?
Is my right. Welcome to Bones, Twigs and Wigs.
Damn, baby.
The podcast about music.
Sometimes.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Bones, Twigs and Wigs, featuring Johnny. What up, Johnny?
What up, son?
AKA Bones. We have Stephen.
Good evening. Hope you're watching The Crown.
Yeah, Stephen in Manchester, where it is so late tonight that it's early. And I'm Grant, again, Bones, Twigs and Wigs. We're back for another episode of Vinyl Impressions, and this week it was my choice. And I decided to go with maybe my favorite album in the world, So, by Peter Gabriel. I love Peter Gabriel.
He's good.
I think I've mentioned many a time how much I love Peter Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
But so finally we get to do one of his albums, and it's I think it has to be So. When you go, let's book club a Peter Gabriel album. It has to be this one because for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's the most popular album.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, it's the first album he ever did that has a title.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really frustrating to be a Peter Gabriel fan sometimes because you have to go off visual cues with the man. For his first 4 studio albums, they were all self-titled, and they weren't numbered or anything. They just had different different looking covers, so it's just frustrating.
Yeah, you thought that
Like
a title got in the way of the artwork or something like that.
yeah, he just wanted you to see. It's like, you know how the Beatles did the white album and Metallica did the black album.
Right.
And, you know, they don't have anything on the cover. Well, Metallica kind of, but not really.
Who
But the White
else,
Album for sure. Or Led Zeppelin did the thing with the symbols. Led Zeppelin 4, I think. Is that 4? I think it's 4.
I think so. Yeah.
What was that one band? Web something? Webster?
Mm-hmm.
The dictionary?
No. I'm gonna look it up. Keep going.
Well, while you're doing that, yeah, so Peter Gabriel, I'm sure people have heard the name before, you know, whether you're a fan of Genesis or, you know, a fan of the man himself. He's, I don't know about you guys, but to me, he kind of like personifies the 80s, especially on this album. This is like the most 80s album I think I've ever heard. And, you know, like everybody knows at least one song off this album because they would have seen that movie Say Anything, you know, where Lloyd's holding up the boombox outside the girl's window.
Right.
In your eyes.
Real quick, it was Weezer. You guys remember Weezer?
Amazing.
Oh, Weezer.
The sweater
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
You were close with Webster.
Yeah, I don't know where I got Webster from, but yeah, like Weezer, they kind of did the same thing with like the no name albums and stuff, and like titled albums and stuff like that.
I like
Green,
Weezer.
Well,
the blue, you know, interesting stuff. But anyway, go ahead, continue.
Yeah. Well, this one's
yeah,
funny.
Classic scene, you know.
Yeah. This one's pretty funny though because so the first 4 Peter Gabriel albums, let me see if I get this right. They're because they're all self-titled, like fans affectionately give them titles based off the artwork. I think one's called
Car.
Car, then Scratch, I think people call it. Melt is the third one, and I think the last one's called Security. Something, but it's not really called that. They're all just called Peter Gabriel.
Right.
So the record label got rather frustrated with Mr. Gabriel, and they go, "Dude, you got to title your albums."
My man said, "I'm gonna do what I want, and it's
Yeah,
still
so-
gonna sell."
Well, that's the thing. They wanted him to better market himself, so because they're like, "Man, you're just kind of you're stepping on your own feet here with promotion because we can't go, hey, go and get Peter Gabriel's self-titled album because there's now 4 of them."
Mm-hmm. And his response was, "So."
Yeah, pretty much. So he calls the album So it's kind of like an anti-title, which I think is hilarious.
It's like, so.
Yeah, Peter Gabriel is such a funny dude, man. Have you seen any clips of him performing?
I actually haven't.
Oh
And I
man,
should.
it's the funniest thing because
Yeah.
particularly around this time as well, like in the mid 80s. I think this is 1986 this album. But he started to get really obsessed with like visuals on stage. So him and his band have lots of like choreography while they're performing.
Right.
But Peter Gabriel is not a dancer at all. Like he is an awkward, quirky, bizarre moving human being.
Mm-hmm.
And he incorporates these movements. Like he plays to his strengths, I guess, to his credit. But he just has the cheesiest, most simple choreography, and him and his band do it at certain parts. Like they do when they do In Your Eyes Live. They have this jump to the right, swing your arms, jump to the left, swing your arms, and then they step. But because they're all doing it, it looks really dope. But then when
Right.
you look at what they're really doing, like especially you, Johnny, you would be looking at it going, "Man, what is
Like,
this?
That's whack.
What is this
Right.
shit?" That's the most whack shit I've ever seen. But because they're all doing it,
Oh man, yeah.
it actually works. So he's
Right.
got the best parts in Sledgehammer when he does Sledgehammer live. After the little instrumental break,
Mhm.
Peter Gabriel, when he goes, "I kick the habit, kick the habit, kick the habit," he kicks in the air, and he stands next to his guitarist and bass player, and he kicks. And he goes, "I kick the habit," and then the two guys on each side go, "Kick the habit, kick the habit," and then they start doing this like step, so their legs do this. So won't you show for me, let me show for me, I will show for you, and then they go, and they run
What?
backwards.
I
It's
gotta see
hilarious, but it looks hilariously cooler. Funnily enough, as they get older. So now that he's like 70 years old, so when he's in his 60s performing live, and he does it because he's a little tubby and old and even goofier looking.
Mhm.
It works
Is he-
even more because it's just
is
like
he
it's like
still
old
touring
it's
now?
like old man at a wedding dancing. It's just hilarious.
But you know what it sounds like. Have you guys heard of David Burns?
Mm-hmm.
Or David Burns?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? So I'm just now discovering this guy, and he's got this this special on HBO. It's called David Burns, American Utopia, and
Okay.
man, is it interesting! And it's like it actually sounds like Peter Gabriel. You know, it has that style. Everybody on stage, like he has like his musicians actually doing choreo on stage. His music is so wacky, but it's so like intricate at the same time. Very artistic show, and just like the way, just watching everything flow together, and it's pretty like as a musician and as a showman, it's pretty impressive to see like this show come together. So if you guys got HBO, definitely check it out. It's David Burns, American Utopia.
I don't think I can get HBO in Australia.
I can't get it either.
What?
I've got a VPN,
Yeah, it's-
but you got to sign up for it, and so you need an American address to
Oh
sign
yeah,
up
yeah,
for it, I think.
yeah. I can't subscribe to
Oh,
HBO. Yeah,
That's
it's,
depressing, bro.
I know, right? But I couldn't. It was really hard for me to watch.
Do you know what? Find out.
Was it Game of Thrones that was on HBO?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we had to
Jesus
get
Christ.
Yasid to give us the address. We had to log in as Yasid.
Yep.
So that we could watch. It was a pain in the ass. But
Yeah, it's crazy.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, you can probably find it somewhere else. 'Cause
there's always a way.
This looks,
but, yeah.
yeah, this looks like something like when you see it, it looks like something that needs to be like worldwide. It's like it's the weirdest thing, man. It's crazy. But yeah, David Burns, American Utopia is pretty interesting. If you like music, you like live concert, because he's like live on stage, at like the Kennedy Center or something like that. But it's so artsy, bro, and so weird and just like out of this world. It's like, yo, this is crazy, And everything's just in sync. I'm like, how do you guys remember all of this stuff and remember to play everything as well? Like
yeah.
like everybody's like actually playing on stage as well too.
Well, I mean, that's why you hire good people in your band. Like,
Man, what? You know, you hire
Two
somebody
things,
that can
yeah.
play all this crazy stuff and move around at the same time.
It's hard to dance and play guitar at the same time. I've tried doing basic steps. I can't do it, man.
Yeah,
Cannot do it.
but that's well, Steve, this is your move.
Yeah, I just go side to side.
Yeah, man.
Mine's more of a
You know?
Stevie Wonder sway. Like I turn, but you just rock. Yeah.
Mine's just like more
I just
forward. Mine's just like, you know, like yeah. Yeah,
Saxophone
yeah.
players are all they're all the same in one regard. You guys, when you're about to actually play something, you the stop.
What we
Like here we go. You gotta
right. We stick
get that line out. No, like when you have to play I guess a line that requires some sort of like consistent breath.
Oh
or,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Yeah, we might stop
Then-
a little bit.
A longer line, then everyone just stops and goes, "Here we go."
Mm-hmm.
Like Charlie
Yeah.
Parker did. Charlie Parker was the coolest one because he would just be like, he never moved. He just had perfect posture.
Just sit there.
Stands
and, like,
stands up straight, and just plays this crazy, exciting shit. But he looks like he's bored out of his mind, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But right. Speaking of good bands, though, like Peter Gabriel's got a good fucking band. He's always had a great band.
They put the personnel on there on the album.
Yeah. I was just getting the sleeve out. There's nothing really too much to say about the sleeve. It's just lyrics. Although I do
Yeah.
like this part from
Oh,
Here.
big thing. Yeah, I saw that.
in big time. The lyrics just trail off at the end. I just thought that was pretty funny.
That's funny.
Big. But other than that, it's pretty.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think he had a lot of kind of guests on certain tracks. Like "Don't Give Up." He has Kate Bush singing the chorus.
Yeah, I peeped that.
You ever see the video clip to that's pretty funny. It's just them hugging.
Mm-hmm.
It's, the whole thing's just them hugging. It's like she's like, "Don't give up, 'cause you have friends." Hug.
Do you know that
My
was supposed
favourite
to be
guest-
Dolly Parton?
Oh, I'm so glad they got Kate Bush.
Wait, that was supposed to be. I can actually hear that
Mhm.
being Dolly.
Honestly, when I
Honestly.
read that, I was like, oh, I can imagine her too. Like, she's got that
Yeah,
same
I
range.
can
so-
imagine. that.
Man, we had one of I think our first Australian Idol runner-up. His name's Shannon Knoll. I played for him once or twice. He's a really good dude, but him and this girl from Neighbours called Natalie Bassingthwaighte,
Mhm.
they did a version of "Don't Give Up," and it's just fucking awful.
Oh, dang.
Like comparatively speaking, because you know, like you listen,
Quite a
you listen
strange
to
song.
the
It's
like
got to be as it is, I suppose.
it's such an odd tune.
Mhm.
Like Peter Gabriel's got that weird, I don't know, just really free flowing way of phrasing the verses, and then you know, like Kate Bush is Kate Bush. She's always kind of like airy sounding, and
Mhm.
so you get these two like, you know, manufactured pop stars, for lack of a better term, just doing it, and it's like, what are you doing? No. Leave Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush alone. Like, go cover Sledgehammer or something. That's acceptable.
Yeah.
So,
But-
I have to be honest. I have to admit something. It's so funny how the stars aligned or the universe, or it's just so funny how God works, because I ended up listening to this album. I saw Kate Bush's name on it, and I was like, oh. So literally like about two or 3 weeks ago, I discovered who Kate Bush was for the very first time.
Oh,
You
wow.
heard Wuthering Heights.
Oh no, I actually heard This Woman's Work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like that's why I said like I gotta be honest, because like apparently like everybody knows who she is. I didn't know who she was. I was like, who's this white lady? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she's a
But-
voice. She is a voice. Oh my lord.
Oh man, like beautiful voice. And it's so crazy because This Woman's Work, you guys know Maxwell, the R&B singer?
Mm-hmm.
So Maxwell has a song called "This Woman's Work" that he dropped it in like the 90s, and he sang it so well, and you know, to like young ears like mine, that's the only version I know. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was his song,
Mhm.
you know. And somebody, I was following somebody on Instagram and they posted you know, a cover of them singing this woman's work, and they were killing it, by the way. And then in the caption they're like, yeah, man, you know, I love some Kate Bush. And I was like, who the hell is Kate Bush? I was like, this is Maxwell. Who are you talking about? So I look it up and I'm like, oh snap, Maxwell covered this from Kate Bush. You know, like my mind was blown.
Yeah,
because Maxwell's version is so good, but Kate's version, it's like I compared it, you know, to each other, and I'm like, man, like Kate, she definitely killed it. You know.
Well, there's another one of her songs that's like that. Running Up That Hill got covered by Placebo.
Yeah.
And the Placebo version became infinitely more famous than the Kate Bush. But
you need to hear
that's
Wuthering Heights, so you'll recognize it.
Yeah, Wuthering Heights is definitely, you know, her version is definitely the one, you know, that you know.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna check it out. But like, yeah, man, like I remember like hearing it, and I'm always like judgy too. Like if I think this person, and that's probably happened to like multiple, like just people in general. Like you think that this person was like the originator, and then you find out like, oh, they were just covering this song. Like the originator is actually over here. So then you start to compare. You're like, well, let's see who did it better. You know what I'm saying? I gotta give her props, man. Like, you know, her version was definitely very interesting compared to the Maxwell version. Maxwell's version though, man, is forever gonna be like a classic when it comes to like R&B music. You know what I'm saying? Like he killed that joint. But
Like
even like his ad libs and like different little, you know, freestyles and things, like when you think like at the like when the backgrounds come in towards the end of the song, he's like kind of doing these ad libs, and then I'm listening to her and she's pretty much doing the same ad lib. So he covered this song
So they're
almost
not ad
to a
libs.
T.
So they're not ad libs. He's
You know what I'm
covering her.
He's like legit covering her. Like he probably did like a few of his own ad libs like at the end, but like he's literally covering just about every note that she does, and that says a lot, man. I was like, yo, like my man did not take away, you know, from this song.
Do you know what, Kate Bush?
Yeah.
Just to give us a lot. She was the first woman to top the UK charts with a song that she both wrote and performed.
Wow,
that's Wuthering Heights. Yeah, I didn't know. Did not know
that's
that.
crazy, man. Yeah, she slept on, man. I gotta study her a little bit more because I didn't know she existed.
I think she's like an artist stuck in time. Like this is what I meant as well when I said like this album to me just sounds like the 80s, because it's I think Peter Gabriel is another one. He's kind of like he's like a time-stamped artist. Yeah. Like this album is so clearly from the 80s.
Yeah.
It still sounds good, but it's definitely it has that era like stuck on it, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's okay. You know, like it's like AC/DC sound like they're from the 70s because they are,
right.
You know. That sort of thing. But before we get into that, I was talking about like band lineups. This album has some of the funniest kind of acknowledgements of performances in it. So Peter Gabriel is always on each song. He is credited as Prophet, which I like. Which I'm not sure just means that he wrote the lyrics or anything, but because you know he's the singer, right? But there's things like that are kind of funny, and he always credits who plays the CMI, which is, you know, that Johnny will be into that, the synth.
I'm hip. It was all
so
over
Peter
that
Gabriel.
album, man.
Peter Gabriel was the first person to own one of those things in the UK, I believe.
So the EMU thing. No, that's the emulator, isn't it? The EMU.
Yeah, no, he's talking about the Fairlight.
Fairlight? Yeah, the Fairlight CMI.
Fairlight.
It's like the rival of the Synclavia.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just a very famous OG synth, and Peter Gabriel got obsessed with it. And you hear it everywhere. Like it's all over the album. It's just
and it's funny because like a lot of those same sounds or like similar sounds, you can get that on like a Korg like workstation.
Well, now you can.
Yeah, now you can.
Back then you
nothing. Yeah, back then it was like
this is fresh shit back then.
Yeah, yeah. But because it's like, man, like you hear those sounds, like listening to this album, I'm like, man, like all of this stuff like sounds so familiar.
How much do you how much do you think the Fairlight CMI used to sell for?
A lot of money.
Yeah, back then it was probably about 20 G's. You know,
$30,000 up to 200,000. What?
Yeah,
that's
what I mean.
That's like US. That's
US
British
dollars.
pounds.
US dollars.
It's US.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That's how much it cost in the 80s. Because I would believe that. Because if only Peter Gabriel in the whole country has one, you know what I mean? It's probably not a very cheap piece.
Gabriel was also selling. They wanted to sell it for £12,000, but they. Oh God, I don't know. I'm trying to find info. 12
yeah,
grand,
we get spoiled. We're spoiled with gear nowadays, man. Spoiled.
Yeah, man.
Oh, sorry, no. The version that he got is £30,000 in 1982. That's how much it was, brand new.
It's a hefty piece of gear back in the day.
£30,000 in 1982. That's like
and think about the sounds that
today,
come out of it, like those pads and synthy sounds that come out of it are on every cheap piece of shit keyboard that you can buy for $50 at the music store.
Yeah, man.
But back then,
Crazy.
It's a different thing.
It was a game changer.
Yeah. So
that's
the funny thing. Like in 1986, there isn't really another album that sounds like this album, except for maybe the album that beat it for the Grammy, which was this album lost out at the Grammys for album of the year to the only other album I can think of, from the only other artist I could think of who is really into like African.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Brazil,
very
like
close,
world beats. The only other album that sounds anything like it is the one that beat it, and it's Graceland, Paul Simon. And I went, and you know what's funny? I'm like, what album beat this one at the Grammys? And then I'm like, Graceland. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
When you said African, I was like, oh yeah, that's Paul.
Yeah. But you know what? I tell you what, how good are those Grammys that year? Like, you got
man,
So,
what?
Yeah, So
lit.
does not win the Grammy, and it loses to Graceland. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty fair. I mean, you can't really. Graceland's another like pretty flawless album, which we haven't done yet, right? We got to do Graceland at some point.
We got to. Got to do
but
it.
Right, so
Paul,
yeah,
man.
yeah. But so let's dive into it a little bit, because I was talking about lineups, but my favorite acknowledgement in a band lineup is in the first track on this album, on Red Rain, which is Stuart Copeland on hi-hat.
Yeah.
He got the drummer from The Police to come in to play a hi-hat.
Just play hi-hat. Just hi-hat.
I love that so much. I think this album is maybe like the best mixed album I've ever heard in my life.
Definitely, bro.
It's so well made. Well made. And it's got this really interesting track lineup where every second song almost seems like a continuation of kind of one long landscapey piece of music. So Red Rain being the first, because it's very heavy on the pads, kind of very sweeping like vocal melodies, and I also like a lot of the times in the choruses of songs, particularly in these more like landscapey sounding ones, like Red Rain, Don't Give Up. What's the other one? The other one is Mercy Street. When the chorus is all hit, he'll kind of, a lot of the time, each syllable of a line is a chord change.
Right.
Whereas, and then in the verse, it's very long, sustained, unchanging chords while he sings a little melody over it, and then the chorus is always much more busy. Do you guys agree with that?
Nah, definitely, man. And it's like it's almost like he's like leaving room. You know what I'm saying? There was like a lot of like open space, like in a lot of these songs, where it's just nothing but the music. And you guys know me, like I'm like a synth head. Like I love synthesizers. So, and to like all of our listeners and stuff like that, like if you watch our past episodes, you hear me talk about just like synths, depending on who we're listening to.
Mm.
So I love hearing those open, those open spaces where it's just nothing but the track, because it's nothing but synth and drums. I also want to shout out, I just looked it up, I want to shout out to Roger Lynn, who created the Lynn drum, like one of the first like MPCs, like beat makers, drum machines. Because apparently Peter Gabriel used that. That was like key to a lot of his tracks, and it makes so much sense, man. Because like I'm listening to some of his tracks, I'm just like, bro, like man, like the drums sound great, but whoever made the track, bro, like whoever made like the sequences are like killing. You know what I'm saying? Like just because you just hearing that loop over and over and over again throughout the whole song, and that's for like almost every song, really.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, the whole thing's got that. The whole thing's got that kid playing with new toys sort of love behind it.
Yeah, man.
Like he took a lot of time to mess around with this new fancy shit he's got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But yeah, so you've got Red Rain, which is like, it just sounds like it's that scene in, that the, not the montage scene in the 80s movie, but the but the retrospective scene where where the couple has just like had their big penultimate fight before the redeeming I love you moment, where they're just like looking off into the distance. It's like, red rain is pouring down, red rain. And you're meant to feel bad for each character. That's exactly what this sounds like.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I definitely.
And
like you said, I love the space in this album, and he can still like get really like, so I say grandiose, but like really colorful lyrics and tell a story, but without using all the lyrics. He doesn't have to.
Right.
He gives you the space to allow your brain to think for yourself, if you know what I mean. It gives you enough of a story to send you down the right road, and then leaves you that space. Really, 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 really nice. Doesn't happen very often in pop music. Yeah. It's normally words, chorus,
right?
Words, chorus, maybe a solo, words.
And this is his most commercial album, which I think is so bizarre, because I don't think it sounds very. I mean, there's the odd. No, actually, yeah. You know what? Not really. I mean, even Sledgehammer's got pan flutes in it.
Yeah, I mean, Sledgehammer, it sounds commercial now, but at the time, not really.
It's such a tune, Sledgehammer. Like,
man, it's great.
I've never played that song. I really have to figure out a way of doing that as a tune.
It's funny. I'm just finishing up a chart for it. So when we're back on cruise ship, Stephen, the orchestra will be playing Sledgehammer a lot. It's just, it's such an obvious choice for the orchestra to play. With the big horn section and the like. Why would we not be playing Sledgehammer? It's such a good choice.
But oh dang, Siri. Just pop. I guess man, Siri's tripping. Anyway, but no, man, I was about to say, I showed you guys the link, because I remember the first time I heard Sledgehammer, I thought it was Nas and Jermaine Dupri.
So yeah, this is what I find really funny about you, Johnny. You've got this weird brain when it comes to like
when it comes to music.
When it comes to acknowledging composers, and because you go yeah. You just kind of go, yeah, that's that Nas tune. I'm like, well, it's definitely not. Like,
but that's definitely the thing.
It's definitely a sample.
But that's the
of
thing,
another tune,
bro. And like, and we've talked about this, because it's like, it's a demographic thing. It's a it's a cultural thing. It's like when you mainly listen to like hip hop music. Like I listen to everything, but my main tunes are like hip hop and R&B. So when you mainly listen to that, and that particular genre is based off of like using samples, you're hearing so much like stuff that you are like, oh yeah, man, that's Dr. Dre, and it's like, no, that's like
No, it's not.
Mozart. That's Mozart's like, ninth symphony or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you well, I mean, I like it when I can pick the sample. I'm like, I feel really proud of myself
love it.
when I can pick the
I
sample.
love it. I love it because immediately I was like, what is that? Where is that sample coming from? Because all I heard was
that horn line is.
And it's the groove too, because like they're sampling the groove,
heavy.
You know what I'm saying? Like even like without the horns, it's just like it's really heavy, and I'm just like, in the minute, band like what? Say my name, and I'm like, oh, I think I know what that is, and I go to who sample, and then boom, it was right there. You know, so shout out Jermaine Dupri, man, for stumbling upon
for having some taste.
Yeah, man, yeah. Because that's that's a dope sample. That's one of those samples where it's like you hear it and it's like, yo, nobody else has touched this either. Oh, I need to do that. I need to flip that joint.
It's so funny to me how that tune could be so big at a certain time,
right,
and be so good in every way, and then and not be forgotten about, but I kind of forgotten about. Like I mean, when people play Sledgehammer, everyone just goes, "Oh, I know this fucking tune." But it's not the first thing you think of if you're gonna make a cover band or DJ a wedding or something. Like I play Sledgehammer all the time at weddings.
Yeah. I'm about to say I could see it being like a groovy wedding song because you can definitely dance to it compared to the
you can play it at dinner too
on this particular album. Yeah. It's just like a nice like little like chill song. When the vocals come in, it just kind of like it opens up those chord changes. It just gets like it almost reminds me of and that was that era, I guess. Reminds me of Huey Lewis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and what's funny is like I probably heard Sledgehammer when I was younger and probably thought it was Huey. I love Huey because of Back to the Future. I'm like a huge Back to the Future fan.
Who isn't?
Oh man, gotta get back in time. That's my song, man.
Cheers.
Power of Love. Oh man, we gotta do a Huey Lewis album,
And
man. Like
Huey Lewis.
Power. Yeah, man. Man, Power of Love. That's the power of love.
Forever.
You talk about soul. Oh, that man can sing.
I can see what you mean though, because they both have that sort of like that bit of gravel in their voice. Him and Peter.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, you think about it now. I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, man, like they have similar tones. Like Peter's got a little bit more growl and rasp, you know what I'm saying, in his voice than Huey, but their tones are like right there. Like I would love to see them. I mean, I know it's like super late, but it would have been dope to see them like do like a collab back in the day. But they probably wouldn't have because their voices are so similar. You know what I'm saying?
I saw a video of Gabriel doing Sledgehammer with Sting, which was a really good pairing as well. Same sort of thing. Like Sting's got that same.
I'm about to say he has a similar tone, just like that
and
too.
it's so funny to watch Sting do the dance moves while he's because Sting's always kind of got that like kind of too cool for school sort of way of handling himself. He's always a few steps ahead of you. He's got that,
right.
But then you just see him going, "I kick the have it, kick the."
Right.
I laugh my ass off. That's so funny.
That's crazy.
But yeah, dude, Sledgehammer's a fucking. That's a staple of music to me, man.
One.
Yeah,
that's the one.
I was like, what else do I really like about? Oh yeah, Don't Give Up. That's what I wanted to talk about. While we're talking about Kate Bush before. What I like about Don't Give Up is how the chorus is given to you in bits, and you don't get the full chorus until the end of the song. And then after that, Tony Levin gets a giant bass solo. It's awesome. Like that's my favorite part of Don't Give Up is that bass line.
Yeah.
That
that was good stuff.
Like he plays the chords on the bass, which is not a very common thing in pop music.
And especially back in that time, like you hear it all the time nowadays, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What else you got? The other big hit would be "In Your Eyes." I imagine, right? Because of the "Say Anything."
Bro, I can't wait to get to like our top 3. Cause that's definitely in my top 3, man. I got I can't wait to just talk about it. I'm gonna save it for my top 3 though.
All
like
right,
to actually talk about it. Yeah.
What else is notable? We got like Mercy Street. I think he wrote about a poet. It's like it's like a tribute to a poet because that's her address.
It's a lady, isn't it? Yeah.
It's an address in a poem or something like that.
Interesting. Okay.
But that's the last of the of like what to me sounds kind of like a kind of a 3-part suite of I don't know, like ambience that is kind of laced throughout the album. Then Big Time. I'll tell you where I heard Big Time, or at least maybe the first time in a long time I heard Big Time. I saw it on like an ad for WrestleMania.
Really?
Which did not seem to fit at all, but it really did. Because, I don't know, it was just like they're just advertising WrestleMania and they're playing Big Time by Peter Gabriel. I'm like, this is amazing. It made it seem like a really big deal.
Wow.
The big show. I don't know.
Welcome to the big show.
Big Time. And then, do what we're told, that last little thing on the album. Just a little ambient button that ends on a really ominous chord. Like it does not end on the 1. You know what I'm saying? It just it does not sound over, and neither does the end of the first side. That voice again does the same thing. Like rather than kind of putting a nice button at the end of the side. What are you doing, Steve?
Sorry, I was just moving. Having an absolute having a mare. I was trying to see. There seems to be a vignette in my camera. Ignore me. I was trying to figure out what's going on. I'm having an earthquake.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Like he just doesn't he doesn't end either side of the album neatly. He kind of there's an ominous tone to it. Like it's not quite what you expect the last chord to be. That sort of thing.
Yeah,
unless I'm crazy.
I'm not sure what chord was it.
I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I just know that it wasn't. It didn't sound like finality to me. It was both of them. They just. Are you getting it up?
Yeah.
I was like, pull out the guitar, man. Find out. The hard way.
I would do if I didn't wake everybody up.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you're right.
That's why I'm being really quiet.
I was like, so the chords were.
I'm quiet tonight.
We're E flat minor 7, flat 3rd.
Every minor chord has a flat third, Johnny.
Oh man.
The minor chord with a flat third.
Yeah. We're going flat third. It's gonna be it was a H flat 7.
H flat sharp K.
Well, you know what? Do you know what H is in music, Johnny?
What is it?
In classical music, especially in like Germany, H is B natural.
I just consider it to be like A, just like it starts all over.
No. H is B natural. So
how is that? Why is that?
Like for instance, if you're in the key of like like old style way of writing classical music, if you have say you're an F, for instance. If you have a B flat, that's just B. They just say B.
Right.
But and then if you writing a B natural, you'd call that H. And the reason why that's cool is the last composition that Bach was writing, I think the Art of the Fugue. The last thing that he ever wrote, pretty much, was him spelling out his name in the music. So it goes B flat, A, C, B natural.
That's
Bach.
dope. That's pretty
Yeah.
dope. And it makes sense. Like I'm sitting here at my keyboard, and as soon as you said it, I was like, "Oh, I see why." So okay, cool.
That confused me a lot. I
Yeah.
remember being in big band at university, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just never seen. This is before I was doing a lot of classical music. It was I just saw H diminished. I'm like, what the fuck is H diminished? And I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, B diminished. Okay,
Uh-huh.
H diminished.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but there you go. There's a little fun.
Did you
Fun.
find it, Steve?
It sounds like the 6th, but
Yeah,
Not
it's
really,
not.
right?
Yeah, it's like an interrupted cadence or something like that. It's nothing crazy, but it's just not. It sounds like the song would keep going,
Mhm.
and it doesn't. Yeah, it's just I like that. It's a nice little touch. It's like
Yeah.
it's not quite as ridiculous as throwing the tritone in at the end, like
Yeah.
dun 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 dun.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, well, Rage did that the best, like dun, and then that's it. I like that. I like that. That's about as ominous as you can get of an ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, like down to a 6 or a flat 6 is all right. That's acceptably ominous.
Yeah.
To me.
Well,
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know about you guys. I think everything on this album's fucking killer. But
it's good. I even like the lulls. Like I said, I like the tracks that are more like soundscapes. It's just
Mm-hmm.
But,
well, because it's got continuity to it. That's what I was saying about it. To me, sounding like 3 movements of like one big giant ballad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily because they sound that like they're actually one piece of music. I just the way that they're laced throughout the album as well. It's like, big poppy hit, then Don't Give Up, then another hit, then In Your Eyes, and then it just then it kind of sounds done, and then Big Time comes on. So another,
No,
it's very
No.
peak and valley. This album.
Now give me your track listing, in order, on the vinyl record, and cause
All right.
yeah,
It's-
I'll give you mine from Apple Music.
It's a different
it's-
listing
it-
on the vinyl, and there's a
Yeah.
reason for that, a really interesting reason for that as well. I'll tell you about in a minute.
Okay. All right. Well, go
All right,
ahead
well,
and give me the track
let's
listing,
listen
Grant,
first.
and then I'll give you mine, and then yeah.
So it's Red Rain, Sledgehammer,
Uh-huh.
Don't Give Up, That Voice Again,
Okay.
In Your Eyes, Mercy Street, Big Time, Do What We're Told.
And that's it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
you're
That's
looking at
album.
the one with This Is the Picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bonus one.
Oh, because they don't list it as like a bonus track or anything like
Mhm.
that. So on here it's Red Rain, Sledgehammer, Don't Give Up, That Voice Again, Mercy Street, Big Time, We Do What We're Told, Milgram's 37
Mhm.
in parentheses, and then This Is the Picture in
Excellent
parentheses,
Bird.
Excellent Birds, and then the last one is In Your Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was kind of cool because the like In Your Eyes is Sledgehammer is up here, but you gotta admit, man, In Your Eyes is like, that's the song. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's the most well-known song for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. That's honestly that's the reason why I know who Peter Gabriel is, to be honest. And yeah, so it's like, for them to close out with that on the album, I thought that was a pretty good idea, because it's like, you give the fans like, oh yeah, like finally you listen to the whole album, and then it's like, oh, this is the song right here.
But you know,
Yeah. Whereas on the vinyl, you turn it over to side 2 and it opens the album.
Ooh, and it opens
Yeah.
with the B side.
Yeah. So
Okay,
side
I
2
dig
is
that.
In Your Eyes.
I dig
yeah.
that.
But-
Okay, I like that. Then.
but
So
That's
it works.
Cool. That's
It's
cool
I like.
too. It
it's
works
got,
both ways.
but he
Yeah.
wanted
Tell
to
us the
put
reason.
In Your Eyes last. He wanted to finish the album with that because that's the best way to finish it. But
Mhm.
because it's got such a big bass line, if it's at the end of the album, it doesn't have enough space for the phonograph stylus to vibrate
Oh, because
So they had to move it in
get smaller
so it
and
could
smaller.
vibrate.
Yeah.
to get more bass out of it.
That's interesting, man. That is so
How
crazy.
strange
Man,
is
like,
that?
That's how well mixed the fucking album is.
Yeah, they had to
Right.
move the
But
song
that's
because it
what I'm
didn't vibrate as
saying.
much.
But like, I love this, and I love talking about this guy because
That's
it's
amazing.
like, yeah, it's like this dude is it's just his, and I actually wrote this down in my notes. Like, this album was just it was just well thought out. You know what I'm saying? He had everything in mind, and like he was thinking of the fans, he was thinking of like the music. I'm sure he was thinking of like other musicians too, like oh, like man, like the musicians who hear this album, they're gonna get a kick out of this, or they're gonna dig that, and it's like
Dude,
that's
I love that. I love
a
that
lot.
so much. I love
That's a
that he
lot.
was. I love so much that he was willing to compromise the
You know what I'm saying?
the layout of the album so that he wouldn't, so that the mix wouldn't suffer. I love that.
I'm
It's amazing,
telling
isn't
you.
So
Like-
that there's a reason when we say that it's like maybe the best mixed album
Yeah,
ever. It's like
yeah.
there's
'Cause
there's clearly reasons for it. Like he wasn't willing to compromise. That's
I'm
that's a
telling you.
really that's an amazing little fact I didn't know about.
That is so cool. Like I know, so,
Makes me love
to
him
all
even
of our-
more. Makes me love him
to-
more.
To all of our listeners out there who are not musicians, you probably like, what are these nerds talking about right now? You know what I'm saying? But it's those little things that are like super important. It's almost like you kind of have to like train your ear for certain things, and you would appreciate vinyl. You would appreciate remastered versions, or you would dislike remastered versions, depending on the album, depending on the band. Some people are like, oh man, I hate this remastered version. It sounds crappy. It sounds too clean and yada yada yada. But listening to things over and over again and really listening, not listening to like the song, but listening to, how can I say it, breaking down the song and like dissecting the song, listening to just the bass. You have to like your ears have to be like trained in order to do those type of things, and then I just feel like when you do that, when you're capable of doing that, you just appreciate music so much more. You just appreciate sound, you know what I'm saying, sonically, a lot more. So yeah, man, that's interesting, man.
Yeah.
That's such a great fact. It makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I found that. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some nerdy stuff, man. But I dig it. Yeah, I dig it.
That's groovy, man.
It's probably going over so many people's heads right now. They're like, okay, and like, what?
Well, I would have never thought of that.
Nah, that's pretty cool.
Ever.
That's pretty cool.
All right. Shall we go into some top threes here?
Yeah, man. Let's
Gentlemen.
get it, man.
This is funny because this is an album with like 3 very large hit singles.
You already know.
Yeah. It's and it's kind of hard not to pick them, really, don't you think? Because they're like each of those 3 songs, they're all so different and they're all so good.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think it has 4 big singles. Also, it could get interesting. Stephen, let's start with you.
See, I'm going to be just fucking obvious here.
I think we're all going to be pretty obvious.
I mean,
think
there's only 8
Yeah.
tracks in the original album, so
Yeah.
all right, I'll be
One
the
of-
obvious
one
one.
of which
then,
is
'cause it has to be Sledgehammer. If you haven't seen a video for Sledgehammer, watch the video. Like, amazing stop motion video, just awesome for its time. It won all the awards and stuff. Sledgehammer, just because of the tune, because it's just a tune. And that song,
it's
by the way, they'd already
undeniable.
finished like the album pretty much. The
Yeah.
band had packed up their stuff, they were leaving or had already left, and then he had an idea for a song and rang them up and made them come back, unpack all their stuff again, set up the drums again, and go, I've got this idea. And that was like just like an afterthought, Sledgehammer. It wasn't even going to be in the album.
Wow.
It's how a lot of great songs are written.
Yeah, just awesome song. Don't Give Up, just because it's a beautiful ballad, and the fact that he's so downbeat in it, talking about like how distraught he is, and then she's saying, "No, you'll be okay." Like to have that conversation in the song is it's really well done, and God, In Your Eyes, just because it's
You gotta.
You got to, bro. You got to. Don't be ashamed of that answer. You got to,
See,
man.
See, now, like I don't need to be asked because mine's exactly the same as Steve. Like
Can't be any different.
Yeah.
Can it?
I don't see how those can't be your 3 favorites. You know what I mean? It's just they're just too good.
Which one do you get rid of?
I mean, Big Time's fun, but it's not I mean, as good a track as that is, I think that's another one that just sounds so well put together. And it's and it's kind of the only one that isn't super bass heavy. Like the whole album, that's why Big Time really stands out. Is because it's very like upper mids. Everything like the guitars really pop out in it. And they're all like high register guitars, whereas everything else has been very like A and D string guitar playing and. Yeah, and Tony Levin, that's the only one where Tony Levin isn't really, like, the most prominent instrument. Because even, like, if you listen to Sledgehammer as well, for instance, it's, like, how far back the vocals... I think we talked about this on a Grateful Dead episode, is some of the track, like, the vocals are so far back in the mix compared to the instruments.
Yeah.
Which is just, you don't hear that very often, especially nowadays, but sometimes it really works.
Yeah, it's to get you to lean in almost. Well, if it's done correctly, to get you to lean in as if you're listening to somebody tell you a secret, you just, what? And you actually pay more attention.
Exactly, yeah, when it's done well.
And
it's not to say that the vocals are quiet in the album. It's to say that they're just mixed in perfectly. Where you hear everything clearly if you listen for it. It's But yeah, my anyway, my top 3 is the same. Sledgehammer, Don't Give Up, In Your Eyes. It's
Wow.
What are you gonna say, Johnny?
All right. Well, you know me. I always have like my honorable mentions, but I was gonna say Sledgehammer, of course. You know,
it's undeniable.
It is, man.
Sledgehammer, it's undeniable.
That In Your Eyes. I actually heard In Your Eyes. I actually heard somebody else like on YouTube covering it, and I was like, man, this song is beautiful. But it's funny though, I will be honest. The only thing I don't like about In Your Eyes is I love the whole song up until the chorus. In your eyes.
Well, when it goes major,
changes. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like I've refused to listen that far. You know what I'm saying? Like once it gets right there, I'm like, all right, I've had enough.
I agree.
And all my secrets, and you're sitting there doing the dance with him, and then
he's like,
he's
like going in. He's like, I reach down on the inside, and I'm like, all right, cool.
In your eyes,
like I'm done, man.
That's the best.
Like it just, man, because like it's such a even like just like the track, like the sequence that he has like in the back, in the beginning, don't. You know, it's just so groovy, and his approach to like that song, man, is like it's beautiful. Like it's timeless. It's just so unique. You know, like when you hear it, you just think, man, like this is well written right here. You know, the lyrics, but like the melody too. He's down here, love, just one word, love, and then I get so lost. Like he's like, it's like that jump, bro.
It's so
musically, that jump from down here, just love. It's just so much space. I get so lost. Sometimes days pass. Like that jump, bro.
It's so
musically from here to there, like he's like, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. You know what I'm saying? I've never heard anything like there's not too many songs out there that do things like that.
He does a head voice thing.
Up.
Yeah, he does in the second part of the verse, he does a head voice thing with 2 words. He goes into one word in his head voice and then goes into the next word without like breaking them together. He turns it into almost one word, the 2 words.
I'm telling you,
Very
man.
fun.
Vocally and like musically, it's so different. Like most people,
that's
if
very
like a typical songwriter.
Yeah, but that's very Peter Gabriel though, because like I mean, if you go back and listen to like pre-Phil Collins Genesis, where it was all Peter Gabriel, like that sort of stuff is everywhere. These first 4 albums too, like That's just shit that he does. Like he's a real soundscapey dude.
Yeah, man. You know, and
Yeah.
it's like just like that creativity. I'm just like, bro, like who thinks of stuff like this, man? You know what I'm saying?
He's like a guy. He's
people,
like a guy who writes for a choir but doesn't have the choir to sing, so he
you
just does
know,
it all on himself.
yeah.
You know?
It's crazy, man. It's like yeah, there's supposed to be some altos over here and some tenors are gonna
Exactly,
come in,
yeah.
but I don't have it, so I'm just gonna have to like try to sing both parts at the same time.
And tape's expensive.
Right, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like so I love that song. You know what I'm saying? I love the first verse of
Yeah.
that song. You know
Same.
what I'm saying? But all in all, great song. So I was gonna say That Voice Again. And it was That Voice Again was it was just kind of different for me, man. Like, you know, like the lyrics are great, but then I love the music, you know, and like the drums. I was just like, bro, like give the drummer some. You know, I literally wrote that down in my notes, like give the drummer some.
Yeah.
Drums were like so nice, and it really, once again, going back to like the mix, it really makes you appreciate the mix as well, you know, cause like, and then going back to Space, because that particular song too has some, you know, parts in there where it's like the lyrics just kind of drop out and all you hear is the music.
Yeah.
So then it gives you time to like focus and be like, yo, whoever's on the drums is like killing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like going off on top of the sequence, you know, on top of like whatever like he's tracking out on the Lin drum, you know, on the drum machine.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to put that one down as like my third because I was just very impressed by it. What else?
The drummer's called Manu Katché, by the way. He did loads of stuff.
Your word.
Manu
Yeah.
Katché, he's done Jeff Beck, Tracy Chapman, Dire Straits,
Oh, Tracy.
Herbie
Chapman.
Hancock,
What?
Joni Mitchell, Joe Satriani,
Crazy.
Tori Amos,
Satch.
Tears for Fears,
What? That's crazy. Oh man. Yeah, he was killing.
French
He was
dude.
killing. Yeah. So my honorable mentions would be Mercy Street. You know, we already kind of talked about it about like just the soundscape. You know, just very very sound, like you said. I'm gonna use your word, Grant. Soundscapey. You know what I'm saying? And that just made me appreciate the synths and just the patches that he used, and you know, just the amount of money that he spent on synthesizers to get this album done. We got to remember, listeners and viewers and musicians who are listening to us right now, we have to remember that like the time period of this album, you know, synthesizers, man, they were like, it was like buying like a high-end computer, you know what I'm saying? Like it was tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like you might as well like buy a house or like a car or something like that, you know. It costs a lot of money. And like nowadays you can get a synthesizer on your cell phone. It's an app. You know what I'm saying?
It's insane.
And it's crazy. But, you know, for them to spend all of that money on all of these instruments and then at the same time be able to like use them correctly, not only correctly but like kind of be like a musical influence for so many other people. Imagine how many people heard this album, heard the Fairlight or the Prophet or the Lin drum and say, man, I want my drums to be just like that. I want my patches and my pads to be just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And,
that's it.
and
You
then,
need the one great album that uses the new technology, and then it,
you know what I'm
like,
saying?
you wouldn't have things like, you know, you wouldn't have like 9 Inch Nails if you didn't have like people like Peter Gabriel like bringing these new synths out.
Well, this is
Yeah,
the
man.
year
Before, you know.
before Bad by Michael Jackson. That was 87,
Yeah.
so that would have influenced Quincy Jones going into more electric stuff and all sorts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the thing too. I was hearing a lot of like Michael influences like in this album. I was also hearing a lot of Phil Collins. That's why I laughed when you said Phil Collins, because
Well,
I
they were both
forgot-
in the band. They were both in the same band together. Yeah.
and I totally forgot about that. I was like, oh man, I forgot that him and Phil, you know, worked together. Because I wrote
for quite a while too.
Yeah, I wrote like Big Time. Big Time was giving me like a Phil Collins vibe. vocally
What's
and
the-
just
yeah.
like the music, you know.
Well, what's so funny is like, people compare Gabriel and Collins all the time, like
Mhm.
Genesis fans, because
Yeah.
you have the early Genesis, which is very much like they're like an art rock band,
Right.
and then when Phil Collins takes over as the lead singer,
Mhm.
that's when you get I can't dance,
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk. Only
Mhm.
thing about me is the way I walk. Which, as much as I love it, it's like that's not Genesis. Like,
Man, hey, but I
Yeah,
love Phil, man. I love man. We got to
Dude,
do a Phil
he's-
Collins album
Phil
too.
Collins is one of my favorite artists out. I think
Oh, I love that
last
guy.
big gig, I took my mum to see Phil Collins. It was one of the best nights out.
I remember you telling us about that.
I was
yeah.
me and her were so happy. We're sitting
Mhm.
way at the back. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah. I would love to. I would love to
Dude.
see him live.
By the
And
way,
I would-
Genesis are touring. Genesis
Really?
are touring. Genesis are back together and they're touring. Not with
Oh,
Peter
man.
Gabriel though, just the Phil Collins version, which is still awesome. But yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
it would be amazing if Peter Gabriel got involved in that somehow.
I wonder if he's gonna do In the Air.
Not with Genesis, no.
It would be nice though.
But
Just
see,
to
I
do it.
wonder if they would do The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway
Mm,
without Peter Gabriel. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
that's what I'm curious about. Do they do the really old Genesis stuff, or do they just go, I can't dance, I can't talk?
But yeah, man.
Because
We
Peter,
gotta do.
because Phil Collins can't really walk anymore. He's got the broken foot and the bad back and all that.
Yeah, he's pretty stiff.
Well, these guys are old. They're like 70 years old now. Again,
Mhm. There's a video
happens to the
too.
best of us,
Somebody
man.
posted. I can't remember who posted. I saw it on Instagram. Matter of fact, I think Questlove just posted a video of Phil Collins getting back in the studio and playing the drums for like the very
Oh, I
first
saw that.
time.
Yeah.
You did see that, right? And like at first I'm watching it, I'm just like, oh, it's Phil in the studio, boom, boom. But as I read the caption, I was like, oh snap, this is his first time on the set in like years, you know?
Yeah, because he
And,
just had he has a bunch of back surgeries and stuff.
Yeah,
And,
and man, he was like he sounded pretty good. He was in the pocket, you know. He
doesn't
had
think
some
so, though.
feels. Yeah, you know, he was
He's
just
like,
like,
yeah.
He's like, and I was like, no, man, like it sound pretty good. It's Phil freaking Collins, like, you know, it sound good. It sound good to me, you know. But yeah, shout out to Phil Collins, man. Like,
Yeah.
that's the
We'll
that's the
definitely
man.
get to Phil at some point soon.
Yeah,
that's the
I'm
man.
sure of it.
You've got to
That's
love
the
Phil
man.
Collins. I mean, he gets a lot of shit as being dad rock and all this sort of stuff, but it's good music, man.
Hey,
I know we're getting.
it's
I'm
good.
getting older. You guys aren't older.
It's good stuff. Man.
I'm old enough to love Phil Collins, man.
Yeah.
Hey, and he had his little stint with Disney too, man. When he did the Tarzan album,
That's
the
right.
Tarzan soundtrack. Oh my god, like man, and that was more like my era. Like I remember growing up to that. Like what was that? You'll Be in My Heart.
Yeah,
You'll
that's the one.
be in my heart. That was a beautiful song. Jesus, man, you just want to cry just listening
Man.
to it. It's like, oh my god, Phil, what are you doing to me?
Yeah,
Man?
but it's funny if you really look at their careers and the
Mhm.
and the musical output they've got. Like it's
Mhm.
you can definitely tell that they were in a band together and
Yeah,
they were in a great band together. You know,
Very
'cause
right.
they're both quite similar. But the
Yeah.
idea that Genesis fans have is that Phil Collins is the pop one and Peter Gabriel is like the arty one. I'm like, Phil Collins is just as arty as Peter
yeah.
Gabriel.
Phil
And
could get
Peter
pretty
Gabriel is
arty.
just as poppy as Phil Collins.
Right.
You know, like they're
Right.
very similar.
Yeah, they're
It's
neck
not a
and
Pink.
neck.
It's not a Pink Floyd thing here. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
Genesis
Nah,
are
they're
very
neck and neck.
different.
but yeah, man. But yeah, those are pretty much the ones. I also want to mention This Is the Picture. I know this is like the bonus track, but that was also like another artsy, intricate track right there too. Like if for those who heard it, if you want to like go check it out on Apple Music or whatever. Yeah, that was like another one, or cassettes. That was another one where it was interesting, man, because like there was some times where he's singing and like him and like you can tell like he had like female like background vocalists. They were all just so locked in, because like they're singing like the same lines at the very same time, different octaves. And just like so locked in with like the melodies. And then behind all of that, you got the music doing so many different things. the instruments doing so many different things. So it was just a very intricate. It was another soundscape song,
Yeah.
to be honest. So yeah,
Oh,
man.
While I'm thinking of female background vocalists, so Peter Gabriel is also kind of known for having, like he's always had Tony Levin in his band, the bass player.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause, he's got a very unique look, like bald guy with the mustache
Mm-hmm.
playing the bass. Played a lot of fretless, and he puts like drumsticks on his fingers and hits the strings.
Oh
This
yeah.
really crazy slap bass thing. But yeah, he's a very well known bass player who's always played for Peter Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of female background singers, if you go and look up his 1993 tour, which is like the kind of the tour, the Secret World, I think it's called, tour.
Mhm.
The girl doing the background vocals for him is Paula Cole, who is incredible. And she went off and did her own stuff. She's known for this song called "Where Have All the Cowboys Gone,"
That
but
rings a bell.
in the 90s. But yeah, like it's like a relatively well-known like singer-songwriter girl. But
Yeah.
you can look up clips of the Secret World tour, and her in that band is ridiculous. Like you just sit there going, "This girl is fucking amazing."
Yeah.
Shout out to
That's
Paula
crazy.
Cole.
Yeah. But yeah, man, all in all, man, just great track list, man. Like the whole track listing was just it was definitely like just it was a game changer. Like you hear this album and then you look at the time that it came out and then you start judging every album after this. You start judging the Quincy Joneses and the Michael Jacksons, and all of these other cats, like you said, like the 9 Inch Nails and all of these guys, and you're just like, yeah, okay, I'm watching you guys now. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. So it really makes you think, man, because he used his songwriting skills and the instrumentation. He used these instruments so well, and I was thoroughly impressed. And I always got room on my plate for some synthesizers. So
Yeah.
I wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't even expecting synths and drum machines and things like that when I was listening to this album. I knew Sledgehammer had the whole pop rock type of vibe with the horns and stuff, but that's all I hear is like the horn. It's like a lot of like more natural instruments. I knew In Your Eyes had like some pop rock ballad type of vibe where it's like you can hear like a keyboard in the background, but there's like some guitars in there just kind of fretting, what I'm saying, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So and those are the only 2 tracks that I really knew of Peter Gabriel. So after hearing everything else, I was thoroughly impressed. Thoroughly impressed.
Good album.
Did you say thoroughly or fairly?
Thoroughly.
Fairly.
Thoroughly. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
However
At the end of the day, to
wanna
me,
take it.
very good. Yeah, it's I like it. I like it when you hear an album and it sounds like conceptually it reached its full potential in like it delivered. It delivered everything that it conceptually wanted to do. Like I don't think a lot of the time you hear an album and you think, like this could have been I would have been nice if this was done this way. Like I can't think of a way I would want to improve on this. Especially with the mixing. It's just like it's the clearest sounding album I've got in my collection by far.
Yeah, man.
Just there's no mud, there's no filler, there's no there's no bullshit. It's just
And that's on vinyl. You listen to this on vinyl?
yeah.
Whew, cause I mean I just listen to it in my car, bro, and it's like it sounds clean. So I'm just like I can only imagine what it sounds like on vinyl.
Yeah, it's I think I've got like the digital version of the album too, and it's some remaster, but it's just as good. It's
Yeah.
I don't think it's remastered in the sense that they've changed that much. I think they just made it a little bit louder or something.
That's what's up.
Because it's still, I can't tell I can't really tell a difference. And it's hard to compare those things. You know, it's like, I'm gonna play it on my turntable, then play it on my computer through the same sound system. It's like, maybe one's louder than the other, but other than that, it sounds the same.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Any
Good choice.
closing remarks, gentlemen?
Just a good choice, a good solid album. Represents that time in life very, very well.
Yeah, it was fun, man. Fun album.
I don't.
Too.
Me and Johnny don't remember that time in life at all.
No.
Yeah,
Guess
man,
we
we're not
weren't
old
alive.
enough, man.
I just gone through my first divorce. So
Did you hold the boombox up playing Peter Gabriel to
I did.
to get her back?
Yeah, but I sang the wrong song. Don't give up.
See, nowadays,
Lame.
nowadays we don't have boom boxes. We just hold up our cell phone.
Yeah.
That's what That's what Deadpool does.
Deadpool
Yeah,
did.
Yeah, he does it. He holds the iPhone up, and
He's like holding up the phone.
it's got like a boombox cover on the phone, and he's playing that to Colossus.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember seeing that scene. I was dying laughing, bro. I was like, "You serious right now?"
Yeah, he's all gaffer
Yeah.
taped up and shit. Like he's like,
Man. But you guys hear that? Just like like that track. It's like a triangle in there.
Yeah.
It just going on and on. And it's like, oh my god, this is crazy. Boom, boom,
I can't believe they picked that song for that scene. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, man.
because what's another one with the end of the Breakfast Club, like da da
Yeah.
yeah like that
But
seems very obvious.
that song makes sense, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
Was Peter Gabriel, like, I can't believe they. I mean, it's the only song I can see that scene having now.
Mhm.
But if you really think about it, because the album was, I think, 3 years old at that point, so it wasn't like the brand new hit single or anything.
Right,
So
right,
It's because he was
somehow they had the infinite wisdom to choose.
he was
In Your Eyes
dating
by
a
Peter Gabriel.
Patricia. He was dating Patricia Arquette, and I think she was mates with the people making the film and said, "Use Peter's song." I think that.
But, like-
they had to talk Peter Gabriel into doing it. Apparently,
But you think
Well,
about
hey,
it too.
good move. He's worth
you
like
think
$100
about
million
it-
now.
But you think about it too, like the media will, like, because this kind of brings up another topic too. The media will kind of recycle things. Like a song might have came out like 5 years ago. That's happening now with like social media. A song came out years ago, and then people are making like these little TikToks to it.
Oh yeah, the
You know what
Venga
I'm saying?
Boys were like the #1 song because of
You know?
TikTok again.
Yeah, and it's like
I want you.
it's like what's the other joint? Oh man, you guys might not know it, but Kelly Rowland and Nelly, the rapper.
No matter what I do.
God, I hate that
That
song.
song came
love
out in
that
like
song.
that song came out in like 2000, right? But it's now
Yeah.
starting to come back around because people are making these little goofy TikToks. Like every time it says "oh," it's like
Mate, that song never left.
like
that
going
never
around,
left.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Dude, that
it's-
never left my playlist.
Man, yeah, I mean, and it's a catchy tune, it's a catchy tune. Like if you're from that era, but that song, that song is old, and all of a sudden now it's like back in rotation because of social media. So I say that to say, like, I feel like that's the power of just media in general. It's like you do certain things. A song can be old as dirt, but you see it, you hear it in a movie, and you're just like, oh, I remember that song. Oh man, or I never, what song is this? Like I want to discover this song. I just discovered this song from watching this movie, and boom, So
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
funny.
man.
The world kind of inevitably becomes a little bit smaller. The more you learn the history of things, it's like we did Fleetwood Mac last week, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, all those Fleetwood Mac songs that are all the cliche ones to do, they're all on the same fucking album. It's like,
Yep.
there you go. The world is not as big as I thought it
it's
was.
like you hear those songs back to back, and you like, I know this one too, and this one. What the heck? Like you start reading the album credits. Like,
well, that's this album too. Like that's this album too. It's like, oh shit,
Yeah,
Big
man.
Time's on this album. Oh,
Right,
shit, In
you
Your Eyes
know?
on this. Oh, Sledgehammer's on this one.
Right.
Oh, Don't Give Up's on this album.
I'm telling you, man. There's some classic stuff. But yeah, man, it was good stuff. Good album, great album. I'm not
Mhm.
even gonna say
Yeah.
good, great album.
I was very happy to talk about this for the,
Nah,
for the last
definitely.
90 minutes with you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
When you mentioned it, I was like, oh yeah, man, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? I was pretty excited about this one.
Yeah, it's
Good
like everybody knows all the songs, but at the same time, for some reason, it doesn't feel like a mainstream album,
Exactly.
even though
Right.
it's 5 times platinum and
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
right.
all that kind of crazy stuff. It's one of the biggest albums ever. It's like, oh, hey, what an interesting choice.
Mhm.
Anyway, thank you for sticking around with us for this because I had a lot of fun talking about this album. I hope you two did as well. I hope people
Mhm.
listening had a good time. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go and get the album because it's awesome. I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. We've been speaking about it for 90 minutes, but it also just speaks for itself. So by Peter Gabriel. Yeah, we've been Bones, Twigs and Wigs. I think next week it's going to be Steven's choice.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's going to be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to speaking to you guys again in a week's time. Anyway, Bones, Twigs and Wigs, we're out.